What's up, Miss Missy? What's happening? How you living? I'm doing well. How are you? Oh, snap. I'm over here with my parents right now. And my dad was talking to my wife earlier, and he was like, um, one of the sentimental things that he's kept are my old Nikes from when I was a baby. And look at that. Look at that. Look at that. What made you keep them, Dad?
My son.
What are the kind of memories that these give you?
I'm looking at it. My son, shit. And then and also I saved them because of maybe you be diligent when you hitting
You hear this, man?
it and make a son, and I could give these to you.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Say hi to everybody, Dad. They can't see.
Hello.
They can't see you. They can't see you. So you guys see.
These
So
how many people?
It's 243. So you see where I get my handsomeness from, y'all. This is I get it from this man right here.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how many women in there, but since I started it, I'm gonna finish.
You gotta go down on this one. You gotta go. You gotta look at this one right here. So I can see you on that screen. There we go. There we go. Miss Missy said he's handsome. He said, "Hi, handsome."
Thank you. See, I don't know how many of y'all have children, but every woman her first child should be a son. Now, if the guy was lazy when he was hitting it, then you produce daughters. But you had to be up in there growling when you hitting it, and then you can make a son first. And when I look around and see, I have a granddaughter from him, so that just tells me. Anyway, I'm out of y'all business.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my dad. This is this is my dad. This is my dad. My dad used to tease me about that. He was like, "Yeah, you got to be in there. You got to be in there. You can't be in there." Oh man, what is going on, everybody? I hope everybody is doing well today. It has been it's been an eventful day for me today. Eventful day for me today. One of the things that you should always be happy about is that you get another day. You get another day to get it right. You get another day. You win some, you lose some, but you live. You live to fight another day. What that means is that every day you should wake up confident that your enemies have to see you in battle. They have to. They have to see you in battle. They have to meet you on the battlefield of life. Whether that's people, whether that's institutions and organizations, or whether that's life situations in general, that life has to meet you on the battlefield. And today I was on the battlefield. Today I was on the battlefield. And there's a newfound level of boldness that I have been experiencing and living in, especially since I stopped letting people play in my face. Especially since I stopped letting people play in my face. And the thing about not allowing people to play in your face, it's about saying that I have enough love and respect for myself that I set the standard on how people treat me. And if people cannot treat me the way that I want to be treated, then I exit myself from that situation. I make it clear and I speak up for myself. I make it clear and I speak up for myself. And then if that doesn't work, then I exit the situation and I don't ever have to return again. There's a level of peace and tranquility that you get as a result of that. But, you know, I know that's not what y'all want to hear. Or at least most of y'all don't want to hear. Um, Tomorrow is election day. Tomorrow is election day, and today I'm. I wish my glasses would have been working. I wish my phone would have been working, but on several freeways and on several overpasses, I saw people out there supporting President Trump, and I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting because, like I said, I'm not a big Trump supporter, and people think that just because you voted for Trump that you're hardcore MAGA, and I'm not. But what I am is I am a uh, not instigator. I'm not an instigator. Um, I'm an antagonist. I'm an antagonist. If you want to get rich, tell lies to people who want to be lied to. If you want to make a living, tell the truth to people who want to be told the truth. And if you want to go broke, tell the truth to people who want to be lied to. Look at who is getting rich in this country. Look at who is making a living in this country. And look at who is broke in this country. Unfortunately, in America, in our system of government, and in capitalism, we are allowed to lie. We're allowed to lie. And the thing is, I got into a discussion yesterday about, Donald Trump and his lies and things like that. And it's like, I'm expecting both people to lie to me. I'm expecting both parties to lie to me. It's just whose lie, whose tale do I know, right? So it's like when you know somebody long enough and you know when they're lying, that you're like, oh, okay, this person's lying, and you get to move accordingly because you know what their tales are. With Donald Trump, you know what his tales are when he gets to lying. With the Democrats, you don't know what their tale is when they get to lying. And that's been my point since day one. We look at how rich the Democrats are getting, especially off of black folks, especially off of black pain, black death, black misery, black abortion, all of that. How rich that they've gotten off of that. Black neglect. I always ask the question, why are you still voting for the people who do not do things for you? Now, maybe the Democrats, maybe the party, right, does something for you on a local level. Because it's also important to understand that there's differences between the national party and the state party. God knows exactly who needs to go bald. Who needs to go bald? Who needs to go bald? Let's see. God knows exactly who needs to go bald. That sounds like somebody that is a hater that loves to come on my lives. And the crazy part about it is I know exactly who you are. It's all good. I got something for you too. Best believe. I got more things up my sleeve. Don't you worry. And don't you fret. I'm coming for you. It's cool. So yeah, the thing is understanding who is making money off of your misery because they will always keep you in that misery. They will always vote for people to keep you in that misery. Oh snap. Oh snap.
We meet again.
We ain't meet again. You found your way over here because you couldn't get enough of me.
No, ain't nobody looking for you, sir. I was scrolling and I happened to come across your arrogant ass talking to people all nasty and whatnot. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna chime in my 2 cents.
When was I talking
I don't know.
nasty to anybody?
There's something about, I don't know, you being a millennial or Gen Z, or I can't tell which really, who comes on this platform talking shit about the very politics that allowed your ass to flap your trap in the first place. So I just thought, how goes it? Still telling women what to do with their bodies?
Well, unfortunately, you're outside of my range of telling what I can do with your body.
I know you think that's a threat. I mean, like an insult. Actually, it doesn't matter. I'm so glad that I'm not in that. Mostly because I feel like if I were, that would make me homicidal. So I feel like I'm glad this issue became an issue after I was out of the race, because I swing hard, you know? And so from this side, you know, I can kind of be a little safer, you know? I still support my fellow girls, you know, because I am a girl. And of course, I wouldn't want anybody to tell me what to do with my body. But then, you know, I don't know you if you know anything about that. You seem to think that it's okay for you to.
Are you married? Are you married?
Yes, sir, I am.
How long you been married?
For 25 years.
Your
And
husband.
you know what I know?
Your husband doesn't tell you what to do with your body.
In the beginning, long, long ago, you pick your battles, you grow. But my husband respects me as an equal. Something I think you might not know much about.
You make a lot of You make a lot of assumptions.
Do I though?
And how can it ever be equal? How can it ever be equal?
You are on a public platform.
How can it ever be equal?
What do you mean? How can it ever be equal?
How can it ever be equal? There's a hierarchy.
I think you need. Jamal, you are just charming. I have to laugh a little bit because I know that there's some part of this is actually your personality where you actually believe this bullshit, but some of it's just for entertainment factor. I can't really tell which yet, but I'll bite. What exactly does it make us equal?
How is it equal? Since you believe it's equal.
Well, let's start with how it isn't. I am not now, nor have I ever been outweighed in money. I make very good money. I am not now, nor have I ever been outweighed intellectually, least of all by his ass. And I love you, babe. You know I do. But, I mean, I don't see where you mean that it's supposed to be unequal. How's that again?
How is it supposed to be equal? How is it supposed to be? You stated in which ways that you weren't that you didn't see yourself as unequal, but you haven't stated why it is equal.
It's equal because we're both human beings and adults.
You are.
And neither one of us needs a parent.
Who said anything about parent?
No, I'm just saying. You know, neither one of us needs to be in a position of power.
Absolutely. Definitely somebody needs to be in power.
Yeah, but why do I want to say that you think that person should be you?
If I'm going to be the one where the buck stops with me, where I have to take responsibility without authority is just a setup for disaster.
So you are absolutely free to have responsibility or take responsibility within your relationships.
Absolutely.
No question. That is between you and whoever is crazy enough to be in a relationship with your egoic ass. But it is not under any circumstances okay for you to assume that you can impose your power on other people.
You've made that assumption. I never thought that.
Well, I mean, when you imply that AB is, you know, that you get to weigh in on it when it's a situation that you're never going to be a part of.
Where do you go get an AB at a hospital?
Sometimes.
Okay. Where would you say the majority of ABs happen at?
it's funny that you say that. I actually wouldn't. I would assume it could be any women's clinic, Planned Parenthood. It could be a hospital. I doubt general PCs do it, although I wouldn't be surprised. So I think it varies.
Okay. The would it be safe to say that many facilities that provide those kinds of services as well as other services receive federal tax dollars?
Yes. And before you say another word,
Hold on.
I I am in agreement with you.
Hold on.
I think if you find the idea of abortion absolutely abhorrent, personally, spiritually, morally, you should in no way should your tax dollars contribute to that. I absolutely agree with you. That is one of the biggest problems with the AB issue, right? Is that you can do what you want, just don't use my money to do it. I don't want to be a co-conspirator to something I find morally reprehensible. But that's a way. But that we should legislate that. We shouldn't argue it over it.
That's been my whole point is legislation. And guess what? Put it up to the people to vote. So since my tax dollars go to make that happen, I have to weigh in.
But that's not what you're voting for, sir.
What am I
When
voting
you
for?
vote,
What
you're
am I
not,
voting for?
You're not voting to legislate. Let me finish. You're not voting to say I don't want my tax dollars contributing to an AB. When you are voting, at least in this instance, you are voting against the woman's right to choose to have that procedure.
No.
And that is a very different thing.
No,
Yes, it is.
that's not what's going on. It's back to the
Are you
states.
sure?
100%. Roe v. Wade made made AB protections federal. So even in states that did not want to support it, they were required to support it. Now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned, it brings it back to the states so that the states can vote on it. That's why you can have it in California, but you cannot have it in Louisiana. It brought it
But
back to
Jamar,
the states.
I think you are being. I think there's a little naivety here, if I could even say that word, and you in the same context. But I think that you've heard the term "give an inch, you give a mile," right?
California, once again, what stops somebody from hopping on a plane, getting a hotel room for 2-3 days, and going to California and making it happen?
Nothing.
So once again, I'm saying that hold on, it's
Unless they start to um, prosecute women for
they
doing
can't.
that, which they have floated that.
They
They
floated
absolutely
it to
have.
scare people, but the thing is that you open up the doors for people you open up the door for people to be prosecuted for marijuana tourism. Same thing. You cannot do that. They're floating it so that they can scare people, but it will not pass. The moment that any of that happens, it will not go past the Supreme Court. I guarantee that.
I think you invest way too much trust in that. In
I'm
Supreme Court
I'm
in
telling
this
you
country,
I'm telling you right now because because marijuana is still illegal on a federal level. That I'm not I'm not I'm I'm not
We're
I'm
not
not
talking about marijuana.
it's still illegal. That's what I'm
I
saying.
know what you're drawing. I understand the comparison, but it is distinctly different between going to jail for misdemeanor drugs and then considering going back to a red state and then being held responsible for murder.
You will not. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You will not. They're
I
putting it out there to scare people. The
I I I don't think women want to take that risk. I'm sorry, but they don't.
that's everybody got choices, right?
Right.
Everybody
Right.
got choices. What else? What else? Since you've come on here. In fact, I'm gonna let Beijing make a point. I'm gonna let Beijing talk. What's going on, Beijing? Long time no see, man.
How you doing, man? I gotta agree with the young lady there because I have two daughters, and I live right next door to Alabama. And I don't think a lot of people realize this, but part of when they started the whole abortion thing, they started a system where they keep track of the women during pregnancy, and I can't go with a system like, okay, as a man, do you know, like, women have, like, for example, pads, and what the H stand on the pads and what the L stand on the pads? What's the difference?
Hold on.
What's the
Oh, somebody just reported me. Is not eligible because your life does not comply with the for you eligibility. Discussing drug? I'm not discussing drugs. Cold game. That's what happens. What's going on?
Yeah, so as men, we realize, me as having daughters, I just realized it's different flows of paths, like heavy and light and whatever. But what I'm saying is that us as men barely know anything about women. Like, not everybody have the finances to fly to California to get an abortion. Poor people in Alabama and certain states can't just pick up and fly. Let me go fly to another state and do a birth. They can't afford to do that. That's reality of the situation.
If
And
you
then
can't,
they have women that
if you
have
can't, if you can't afford,
atomic pregnant.
if you can't afford
I,
to have children, if you can't afford to have children after sex, if you can't afford to fly to have an abortion, then that lets you know that you can't afford to have an abortion. But I didn't mean to. I meant to cut you off. I didn't mean to be rude, brother Beijing. Go ahead.
all right. So as another thing I was saying regarding, like, okay, you got atomic pregnancies. Lady
Ectopic,
just
yeah.
died in, yeah, atomic, and these women can't. You know, it's a lot of. There's one lady in Ohio. She had to bleed out, and the doctors can't do nothing. I have a friend that work in the medical field. These doctors can't do anything because have a fair to use their license. They're going to lose their license. This. I can't stand by something like that. And I have two daughters. God forbid, they're in a position where they they need an abortion. They got to get an abortion. I can't be like, and they say I don't have the finances at time. I can't be like, everybody's not in a position to just fly out. Oh, let me fly to another state. Times are hard, and everybody worry about abortions, but the it's like once the kids are born, nobody don't give a damn. Nobody don't give a damn about health care. Nobody don't give a damn about adoption. Nobody don't care about school shootings. But let's stop abortions. But nobody don't care once it is born. It
Yeah.
don't make any sense.
You make were you finished with your point, brother Beijing? Like I said,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't mean to. I cut you off, but I didn't mean to be
Yeah, I'm
rude.
done.
I'm glad that you brought up this point. Once again, I didn't want to be getting up here talking about ABs again. If you notice, many other people are bringing it up and forcing me to talk about it and address it. A large majority, I would say 85 to 90% of abortions are not because of an ectopic pregnancy or because of a crime, right? Or a crime. We know what those two crimes are. Most of them are as a result of sexually irresponsible behavior. So when I say that I'm against abortion, right? There's a whole bunch of other things. There's a whole bunch of other things that people are taking that to mean. Look, the people who are medical professionals that are saying, "Hey, this is necessary in order to be able to save this woman's life." I'm all for that. The thing is that's why people need to be engaged in their government to be able to talk to their legislatures to say, "Hey, under these particular circumstances, this is when we need to allow it. When we decide that there's a high risk of ectopic pregnancies, when this is that when this that and the third, that we put those things in place." But abortion oftentimes is utilized as birth control, not as a result of not. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, I'm gonna say this real quick.
Please.
And I know how America is. Um, you know the group of women that has the most abortions in this country?
Black women.
Nope,
It's black
nope.
women.
It's not black women.
It's black
Do
women.
you know the group of women that has the most abortions in this country?
It's black women.
Look it up.
I
Look
did.
it up.
I've been doing the. That's what I'm saying. I've been doing the research. Is black women account for 35 to 37% of abortions.
That's the percentage, but I'm talking about we are only what 12 to 14% of this country.
14. Yes.
Right, 14. Now, that's a percentage based on that small percentage. I'm talking about the women. How many percentage of white women? How many white women do it? White women are a majority, a lot more majority than us.
Let me help you. Let me help you out. Let me help you out real quick. So, according to the Guttmacher Institute, that there have been 960,000 ABs at least in 2021. 960 some odd thousand ABs in 2021. Sarah said private practices don't have to report the AB that they give. Now, all right, I'm gonna run you guys through the whole numbers. So the CDC collects numbers and the Guttmacher Institute collects numbers. The CDC only gets their data from the state health agencies, whereas the Guttmacher Institute contacts every abortion provider in the United States. All right. So the numbers between the CDC and the numbers between the Guttmacher, there's like a 300,000 difference, right? According to the Guttmacher Institute, 35 to 37% of all ABs are done by black women. So even though that we are 14% of the population, for the numbers of abortions that are had, that means 35 to 37% of them are committed by black women.
Okay, now tell me the percentage of white women.
All right, 1 second.
It's 33%.
1 second. 1 second. All right. Let's see. What are the demographics of women? Control F, black. 42, in fact, in the District of Columbia, New York City, but not the rest of New York, and the 31 states that reported racial and ethnic data on abortion to the CDC, 42% of all women who had abortions in 2021 were non-Hispanic black, while 30% were non-Hispanic white. 22% were Hispanic, and 6% were other races. That's from the CDC.
Oh, okay, now pull up. I count for 33% of all abortions in the United States.
Say it again.
Type in what percentage of white women have abortions in the United States, and they'll tell you 33% in Google.
I guess my question is what's your rationale?
Oh, okay.
Why does that number matter?
What I'm saying is that you pull in the whole. Okay, for example, the whole population of white women, say, across the United States is, say, let's just throw a random number, like say 10 million white women, and it's only 3 million black women, right? Let's say that 35% of 3 million is a lot less than 35% of 10 million, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, off of numbers, white women have more abortions.
No, that's not how it works. That's not how the numbers.
Yeah.
That's not how the numbers work. That's not how the numbers work.
Pull
So
up how many women white states. It's 33%. And
Hold
then
on.
pull up how many white women live in the United States and how many black women live in the United States. And it's simple math.
No.
I see what you're
The-
saying.
the-
Okay.
he's saying that 1 in 3. You're saying that
I see what you're saying.
1 in 3. The way that if I'm hearing you correctly, 1 in 3 white women have abortions, right? So on a per capita,
Right.
you're saying that on a per capita basis, it's more white women that have abortions, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, on a per capita basis. However, 35%, 35% or 37% of all abortions, and according to the CDC, 42% of all abortions are by black women.
But
But
listen to
again,
what I'm
gentlemen,
saying.
I don't understand the rationale.
What I'm
Why
saying
is this
to
a
you-
matter? Right.
Because what I'm saying to you is this. Let's say you pull up how many white women and how many black women. If you pull up the demographics, it's 3 million black women compared to a demographics of 10 million white women. if you cut it down, you could pull it up the numbers by group, each group. That means white women have more abortions than
No, you're
black women. Wait, stay with me. Stay with
you're
me.
reading you're
I'm
interpreting the
I'm
numbers
just telling you
wrong.
what I'm just telling you. I'm reading off of Google right now. How many percentage of I Google how many percentage of white women have abortions?
Yeah, that's
Specifically asked.
that
So
you.
what I'm saying is that white people are planning to white people are going to be the minority by what they said by what 2035. That's
Now you're talking. Now I understand where
right,
you're going with this.
right.
Okay.
Okay, so they're going to be the minority by 2035. That's prediction.
Yeah.
So one way, this guy wrote a book back in 1980. I forgot his name. I'm gonna get the exact name of the book. And they said the one way to preserve the white race is to stop abortions. And I'll get you the title of that book. But that what I'm getting to. That is the main reason behind. He said the only he came up with 3 different factors, and the one way he said is to put abortions in place because that's the only way that we need to hold our
Hey, Mom.
majority role.
I
All
think
right.
he brings up an excellent point because, and it's not something that I think we've discussed, at least not in these lives, at least not with you, Jamar, but 30% of this of the mega base is racially supremic in nature, right? I'm not saying there aren't most people that are outside of that 30, 35, 40% are people who care about fiscal responsibility and policy but there is a growing number. And I mean, how can you not see the rally that was last week and not kind of come to the conclusion that there is a serious issue here on race and culture within this political group that is scary. And I agree with you. I do think that one of the reasons why a woman's body is going to be legislated has nothing to do with the church or anything to do with morality. It has to do with numbers. The replacement theory is well known and true. In 2 short decades, people of color will, for the first time in American history, outweigh whites 2-1.
Don't include me in person of color. I'm a black person. Person of color is a way of diluting me as a black person in the United States. There's a reason.
So
There's a reason why.
Okay,
Go ahead.
you want to argue semantics? If you
No.
wanna argue
It's
semantics,
it's not
that's fine.
it's not semantics. I'm saying that it's not. The reason why I'm saying it's not semantics is because since the money that you get from census from being a black person is a real thing.
Okay, fine. And the reason I'm giving you this and not arguing with you is because I still think that the rule stands here, right? You are not white. That is my point. Right.
The beautiful part is that you're right. So you're saying with the replacement theory, and they're trying to implement abortion bans to maintain the white race. That's crazy that they love their children, that they see that their future and their legacy is that important that they need to get rid of it because they don't want their own F anybody else, but they don't want their own to die at the hands of AB. Watch this. The same way how you said that we know that white folks are going to be a minority in this country. The crazy part is that we
And
have
see, this
we
goes back to what
as
I find so disturbing about you.
hold on. We as black folks, hey Deanna,
But it's this rhetoric here that I find so disturbing. It is.
So the thing is that we have not grown past 14% of the population since 1970. We've remained at 14% of the population.
Right, but we're not the fastest growing demographics. Latinos are the fastest growing demographics.
Because they're not having ABs
It's
the same
past
way that
us.
we are. That's the thing.
What's that?
They're not having ABs like us at the race that we're having.
But they're coming into the country as a faster rate than they're
Who's allowing that?
they're coming into the Congress.
Congress is letting it. It sounds like more like executive order and Congress. Go
No, you
ahead.
can't. Based the way United States work, you can't stop it. Biden tried to stop it by executive order, and he got knocked down by the federal judges. The Congress is the one who has the real power regarding to legislating the border. That's just the way the
Well, well,
American people don't realize
well,
the
well,
president don't have that much power. The Congress is actually the one who has the most power in the political spectrum.
and Texas went to showing the American people something else. What's going on, Brika? I want to give Brika a chance.
Well, I'm still chiming in, trying to see what I'm trying to figure out what the conversation is about. Is it about abortions or immigrants? I'm trying. We're all over the map. But you already know how I feel about women's choice, and you already know how I feel that I feel like it's our choice, our body. That's right. And just like what Big Mama used to say, "Mama's baby's daddy's maybe." So I feel like, and you know, a lot of stuff goes on in our culture that we cannot. We can't continue to let go on.
Why?
Even with this new drug that Louisiana, even with this new drug that they just say we can't use for our body that would help us, that I had to use to save my life. So it's I don't know. I'm just sitting here listening to you, Doc, but you already know where I stand on this, and you already know it's Kamala Harris for president. So you already know. I ain't trying to hear none of that. You know I'm gonna stand on. I'm gonna stand on, because at the end of the day, I don't understand why women having these conversations with men. I'm gonna tell you why. We are the ones that bear the children. We are the ones that's going to research. Man, look, Big Mama was a chemist before she knew she was a chemist. So, you know, it's you know where I stand. You know how I feel about this election, meaning being that, you know, I went to jail in 2020 for March to the Polls with 150 black men. Like, this shit is fucking real.
Wait,
it's
hold on.
Getting set up.
Hold on. You're leaving a critical part of the story out.
Which one?
You're leaving a critical. Who was there with you?
You was there with me. You were always there.
Okay, all right. So this is
for black women. I had I had snipers on top of my head. I didn't have nobody that could have my back with you.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
You know what I said.
Cool. I just the reason why I'm asking that, I appreciate that, Brika. The reason why I'm asking that is because you can speak to the audience. You can speak to the audience about, hey, this is somebody that's been in that. I'm somebody that's been in the trenches with you. When that stuff when that stuff happened to you, I was there. When these things happen, when there's shootings in the neighborhood, I was there. When you had snipers on your head, I was there.
I know you've been muting me.
I know you've been muting. Hey, it's gotta be a level. It's gotta be a level of. It's gotta be a level of respect and decorum, Deanna. It's gotta be a level of respect and decorum. It's got to.
I'm trying to give it to you, but when I hear
don't try. Give it. Don't try.
To do anything. I will. Okay. What I'm saying is you are creating two different narratives here, right? So your commentary about the U.S. Census, right? And when your response to me is have an absolute right to make sure that they are, you know, they care about their numbers being increased. And I'm thinking to myself, do you understand that keeping us as the minority is a strategy to keeping us as a minority? Like,
how do you keep somebody as a minority? How do you keep them as a minority? You introduce drugs, abortion, and poverty into their community. Wow, that's how you get rid of the numbers.
I think what he's getting at is that we allowing it to happen. It started with us.
Thank you.
And I am surmising that from what he said.
Thank you.
But he doesn't lead with that. But he definitely doesn't lead with that. So it definitely.
Because you know why? Because black people.
Because he wants you to answer that.
Because black people swear that they want the answer, and the answer's right there in front of them. Brika, if it's anything that we can.
And that's what he's. I listen. I've been through this. I know what he's getting at with the. He wants you to. He wants you to see what's going on. Listen, I was fighting the census here I stay in rural Louisiana. So our census wasn't right because they wasn't outside knocking on doors trying to see what's people in the house. I know because I was around. I'm very connected to the community. And even with our crime rate numbers, they said our crime is up in Shreveport when I stopped the wars across the city. So it's like they playing with the numbers here in rural Louisiana, and no one's holding anybody accountable for it.
All them black folks in Shreveport.
Black people $40 to vote Republican, and that came from the Democrat Party. So if you out here fighting the NAACP, I'm telling you what I went through. Like literally, they tried to kill me. NAACP, and I was NAACP bound. The Democrat Party. It's like, damn, who do we have? The DOJ, Ronald Green case just got thrown out. And we had to fight for an oversight committee. We tried to put in slavery on the ballot. Our black officials told our black people to vote against it. And in slavery in Louisiana, some of our inmates that are electricians or plumbers, they would be able to, send their money back home to family because in Louisiana, we knocked over 800 cases off of black people because the police were planting drugs on them. So how many people in Angola now, they haven't done anything, but they not able to get the resources because we are not able to get the resources. And we getting blackballed because we uncovering this and getting set up, killed, and murdered in Louisiana. So I appreciate Doc because I'm gonna be honest with you, I was losing my mind because I it's like the people that you look up to that you like. I always wanted to be a freedom fighter. I'm on walls in my city, but I'm like I felt with Martin Luther King. Like I'm the most hated, but I'm the one out here stopping everything, and it's our black people that's trying to pay people to destroy me. So. I understand. It's like we got bad Republicans and we got bad Democrats, and it's just everybody just fucked up right now. I'm sorry, but that's what it is.
I would like to say the overall system isn't conducive to black people. Like every time when the black people learn the system, they move the field goal post. Just like when it was an old movie that they came out with, like The Banker. The guy, based on a true story, the guy that owned, first black bank, owned buildings in California, and he had a white guy showing, basically the face of his company. When the United States government found out about that, what they did, took all his property, is at the one in Cayman. Every time when black people come together in the United States throughout history, we put our money together and come together, the United States government comes in, destroys it. Everybody talk about that one city in Tulsa, but it was many cities similar to that across the United States. That every time black people came together, they came in and destroyed. Their biggest fear is black people coming together and showing more power. But it was a study a time ago. Genetically, everything that black people been through, believe it or not, been carried through our genetics. Like the fear of police, the fear of certain things, it's in our genes. It don't just go.
Can I say?
Yeah,
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. Right? Like I absolutely agree that for the last 250 years hasn't even still now today. But look at what has happened in the last 70 years since desegregation. Right? Blacks have dominated every single sport, every music industry, black doctors, black attorneys, listen, in 70 years, We have leveled the playing field in a way that has
No.
never happened.
Yeah, I gotta
I
say
agree.
no.
No,
I gotta say no. Because
let
the
me
one
finish my
main
point.
reason, the
Let
only
me
way
finish
to
my
have
point.
power in the United States is ownership. And that's the one place money talks. You need ownership. Like they have all these sports athletes, yes, but we don't own any football teams. We don't. We don't right now. We don't own any basketball teams. We don't own any baseball teams. The only way money talks
I
in
tend
America
to agree
is you
that
need
we are
ownership.
not part of the 1%. That's for sure. But I definitely think in 70 years, the leaps and bounds have a lot of people who were very used to being the top dog and mediocre, very afraid of what's going to happen in the next 70. That's my point.
They're not afraid because what they do is they knock down people like myself and Brika, and black folks stick around and just say like, oh wow, I hate I hate that happened. So if it's anything in America, if it's anything that is in America that is true, is that when you want to become it, when you want to get into power, you need to be absolutely ruthless, taking no apologies, for your successes, and no excuses for your failures. So guess what? It is our fault that Tulsa did not get rebuilt. It is our fault that we did not send a message to America that something will happen to you anytime that you come to us. That is our fault. You cannot control anybody else. You know who you can control is you. Go once again. You want people playing in your face. Why? Because you allow it. Then the moment that you stop allowing people to play in your face, oh yeah, of course they're gonna resist you because now this is something different that they're used to. They want to go back to the old thing, and you gonna have to fight like hell.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that, actually. I don't disagree at all.
But I gotta say this: you say yes, it's partially our fault. But if you, as a human nature, if somebody comes and they see you, doctor, right there, and you're saying, for example, you're building a house, and I come outside and I kick it down, and you go back and build another house, and I come back outside and kick it down, and I kick it down like 30 more times, human nature gonna be like, you know what? F this. I ain't building this crap no more.
Nah, not the way, not the way that the Montgomerys not the way that the Montgomerys and the Myers is built. Watch this. Not the way that the Montgomerys and the Myers are built. The way that the Montgomerys and Myers is built is I'm chopping your leg off.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying,
but each and every time.
But
if we kept giving up, we wouldn't got this far.
But what I'm saying is that's part of the reason. As you could look throughout history on all the cities and all the areas that was predominantly black built, they went in there and destroyed it. After a while, they just got to a point where they was like, man, can't keep. It's costing money for us to rebuild these areas. It's cost everything that we had. They keep coming in to take. Black people had most of the East Coast, all the land, because white people gave them that land of the beaches and the coast. They came back years later after Lincoln died and took all that land back because they gave it to the black people because it's sand. Back then beaches wasn't worth anything because you couldn't plant anything. They came back and took all that property from black people back.
Bet you if somebody that was everybody that was involved and it ended up coming up missing, you wouldn't have no more land being taken.
So I love that rally cry, right? But there's some realistic numbers that we need to confront, and let me be clear, right? Because we're under the impression at some point, right, that we think, to your point, Jamar, where you're like, you know what? You gotta be ruthless. If they come for you, let them know they can't come again. But you can do that when you have the numbers, and we do not. There are 244 million whites in this country. There are 63 million Hispanics and 44 million blacks and 10% others. But there simply isn't the numbers.
Yeah, not everybody.
So it's easy to say.
You need folks that got heart. You need folks that got heart.
No argument for listen. You are preaching to the choir on that, right? No numbers and heart are two different things.
You could look out through United States history, even with not even the black people alone. Look at how many countries United States went in, infiltrated, and just destroyed the people, destroyed everything. They're known for doing that. That's their MO. They're known for doing that.
And poor black Americans who ain't learned how to do that to keep people from doing it to them.
You know,
I think that's a generalization that has a larger conversation. So just because you've done this doesn't mean that the arm of dysfunction and poverty and that cycle hasn't still consistently existed within other families. And so I think it's not.
I don't disagree.
It's not enough to say I do.
I don't disagree.
And I disagree.
I don't
You
disagree.
don't disagree. Oh, I was going to say because
No,
I don't think that's a short.
I don't disagree.
That's not an easy response.
Not everybody's not.
to know.
If everybody was thinking the same way, there'd be more Breekas. There'd be more me's. You think Breeka came from a silver spoon? Hell no. So it comes down to choices that people make. Choices. There's a reason. There's a reason why most of the millionaires in this country, at least 50% of the millionaires in this country, do not come from wealth. Do not come from riches. It's choices that we make, and we keep trying to act as if, are things unfair? Is there systematic issues and systematic racism and environments that are created so that you don't succeed? Absolutely. 100%. Also, there are choices that you can make. There are choices that people. Go ahead.
But it's going to take us a while to catch up to, regarding white people, YT people, because I'm going to say this because it's like somebody had a head start in a race, and I'm going to explain this.
Exactly.
They had a head start in the race, so it's going to take time for us to catch up, because even from the Lincoln time, they had a sale on what it was, not I forgot how much, 9 point something million acres of land. They gave that majority, I think 98% of that went to YT people. When they gave the land after Lincoln died, when they came back from World War, and the one way to get, you get the VA loans. They did the VA loans in Texas and Jersey at the time. Majority of those loans, I think only like around 2% went to black people. So back then we couldn't even get the FHA loans and all that stuff. We couldn't get homes, and that was the number one way of getting generational wealth, land and homes. And we was blocked out on that end, so they got a head start. So it's going to take us a time to catch up, because this what kills me. People today was like, oh, we can't use the government, but YT people use the government for FHA loans, for the VA loans, and when the government gave away all that land from Lincoln time that they got. So it was fine for them to use the government. They benefited from the government, but when it comes to brown people of color, to now, the benefits that you got and your generational wealth from, we can't. Now all of a sudden they shut the door. You know what? The government don't need to be giving you guys anything, because you need to pull yourself up by the bootstrap. But you guys didn't get your wealth from your bootstrap. You got your wealth from the U.S. government.
All I know is that the last 70 years has had a progression that I think has made people in power very scared of people of color in this country, not just blacks, but people in color of this country in general, because they will be outrun. And once they're outrun, what happens? You become marginalized. And one of the worst things you can be, because equality looks an awful lot like oppression when you used to be in the top dog. And I'm telling you, there is a growing resentment that I think is going to reach a fever pitch shortly. And I don't care who wins this election, whether it is Kamala or whether it is Trump. There's going to be a confrontation with that cultural issue on one level or the other.
Would you
And
rather
it
be
won't
the
just
victim?
It won't be.
Would
it
you
won't
rather be
just
the victim or the
illegal immigrants.
suspect?
The suspect.
You know, you had mentioned something earlier that I thought was a little interesting, right? Like, you sort of lent yourself to you got to be ruthless. I actually don't believe in that. That's not my worldview. I think we have an opportunity here to evolve as a free people where people are different. We are not communists or Marxists because we choose to live in a world where we are reasonably socially fair. To your point, nothing is ever going to be perfect. But we also have an opportunity, not just as the leaders of the free world, but as a species, to show that we can actually get along despite our differences. That's the idealism that I aspire to, right? I think many people agree with me, actually, that this ruthless sort of nobody wants to be a victim. They want to live in a world where they can be safe, where they can make their own wealth, make their own way. They want to live the American dream, and they want to live the American dream regardless of what skin color they have. And I think that's fair, and I think it's reasonable. Now, do I think that there's policy issues? Of course. Do I think that immigration is a problem? It most certainly is, right? But it can be treated in a humane way. It can be treated without throwing racism at it, which I don't like, because every time they do that every time that target is pointed on immigration, it's never anybody white. I promise you that. They ain't talking about the illegal Germans here. They ain't even talking about the illegal Asians, and they're in droves here.
And
right?
I agree with that, because the number one, see, they talking about the border, but people don't realize the easiest way, and I wasn't born here, the easiest way to come to the United States is by a visitor's visa. That's how a majority of people come into this country. They don't come in by the border. They come in off a visitor's visa and overstay. You're welcome. And that's the easiest way. And the number one way, again, from last year they brought it up, that is the number one way everybody getting in this country. It's not by the border, but they make it seem, the border is a big deal. But the news put it out there. Everybody believes it.
The reason why they talk about the border is because the border is a very nuanced issue. The border is important because of the amount of drugs, the amount of it is an actual national security. It is an actual national security problem. Why? On a visitor's visa, you know who's coming in. Throughout the border, you don't. And it is an actual national security issue. I didn't see it that way 4 years ago. And then as I got into different communities, particularly my colleagues that are in the special operations community, when they put me on game about some of the things that are actually going on, I started to look at it differently. Deanna, I appreciate your worldview. I used to be that optimistic. And then my experiences around the world changed my worldview on those things. Every world leader that I've met with, every last one of them has been ruthless. Go ahead, Bajan.
Majority of the drug come in this country, like, if you remember a couple years ago, you could bring majority of drugs do not come through the border.
Coming through the ports.
If you remember, a couple years ago when I forgot the bank, what's it, for finance company that
HSBC
they found a whole bunch at the port. They came in through the port. So
that part comes in through the port. There's other parts that come through that comes through the border.
Right, and if you want a substantial thing come through the United States, you could bring it through the port.
People come through the border.
Sporadic check, but you could send more through the port than through the border.
All of it is.
You know what container ship is?
I absolutely am aware of what a container ship is.
Okay.
I used to have people that worked at the
More
docks.
through a container ship than coming through the border.
Telling you, they're coming through both ways, man.
To a greater extent, they're just walking across the board.
How much you think a person could carry compared to container ship?
You're missing what I'm saying, right?
The threat is
So the when you look at the port, right? The port, if you're gonna move something, it's gonna be moving. It's gonna be moving drugs. It's gonna be moving guns, right? It's gonna be moving all of that, right? But you're still in a regulated industry. So there's a number of machinations that you have to go through in order to hide those things. Whereas when you have a border, there is no mechanism that allows you to sort for those things. So I'm not denying what you're saying, that from a logistic standpoint, it is you can transport more through the ports. However, that is still a regulated facility. Whereas
It's a regulated facility, but you know what happens when it comes here? They only do sporadic checks at the port. So it's not they're not checking every container at the port. I pick up loads from the port. I used to pick up loads from the port. I'm right in Atlanta. I go down to Savannah Port. They only do sporadic checks. So they're not checking every single container. They're like, okay, let's check 10 containers a day, 30 in a time span an hour. So you could get it through the port easily.
absolutely.
Coming through over a border.
Absolutely. I'm still talking about people as well. Like I said, there's
I'm gonna hop off, but I want to say. I was gonna hop off, but I wanted to say, as always, it's always fun to talk to you. I hate to say it, but I always have a good time chatting you up. But I do want to say my worldview isn't out of naivety.
I didn't say it was out of
I wanted to be clear
naivety.
about that.
I didn't say it was not out of naivety.
but-
I said I used to
no,
hold
what
the
you said-
same. And then my experiences,
Right.
my experiences with world leaders was different. That's all I said. That wasn't to say that your worldview was naive.
What I want to make the point
Please.
is that it's not just, even if you were given every reason to support not thinking that way, you have to, because any other ways that humans can't get along, regardless of what their issues are, is nihilistic. And we have been the shining city on the hill. Now, this is naive, right? That's the only thing I will admit to. We have been the shining city on the hill for the world to see on how we get along. And so I think it is important that even if our worldview teaches us that we shouldn't be one way, we should still hold to the ideal. Because inevitably, all it does is harm one another. True shit. It's just it's harming, right? Like we think there's a winner at the end of the day. I'm not sure there really is. But then that might be subjective. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. As usual, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I didn't stalk you intentionally. I will now, just so you know. If I see you again, I'll chime in. And is it Bajan?
Yeah, Beijing.
It was lovely to have met you, and I really appreciate some of the things that you had said tonight.
Thank you,
Take care,
Deanna.
guys. Bye now.
Any final thoughts, Beijing?
I just want to say that I appreciate your platform, and I gotta say, as you know, I wasn't born here in this country, but I gotta say this. And a friend of mine also trying to do the same thing. We need to show, because I had a friend that used to sell drugs when he was growing up. Now he's doing stocks. We need, as black men, black youth, to show them that it's more ways to do things instead of selling drugs. And that's a responsibility that falls on us. We can't depend on the government, because both of them not looking out for us. We gotta try to help our youth one by one. And I'm trying to put myself in a position, in a couple years, got 2 businesses to buy, but I want to go back to the black neighborhoods, do landscaping, clean up the grass, do stuff like that to clean up the neighborhood, because we can't depend on politicians to do it, because we got to be the ones who are going to take care of our neighborhood and nobody else. And that's it.
I appreciate you, Brother Bajan. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here, man.
Platform, though.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you for coming up, dude. Everybody, you are seeing what happens when you have the conversation long enough and you speak to the heart of the issue. There's a level of optimism that we have to have, and also there's a level of pragmatism that you have to have. And I used to be very optimistic, and that is transformed or transcended into pragmatism. What is going to work right now? What is going to help me fulfill my strategy? If I say that Black lives matter, Black lives have to matter in the womb and outside of the womb. I have to care about the 14 and 15-year-old that's committing violence in his neighborhood, and I have to care about the fetus that's in the womb that's now getting ready to get aborted because of sexually irresponsible behavior. I'm not talking about any other reason. I'm talking about sexually irresponsible behavior. And once again, this is coming from somebody that has funded, participated in abortions. You don't realize how evil what you're doing is at that time until you get older and have a greater appreciation for life. If I say that I care about life, then I have to care about life, even if I'm not the one that necessarily brings life into this world. I'm a participant in it. These are the real things. These are the real stories. These are the real factors. If you wonder why Black folks have remained 14% of the population for the last 50 years, look at abortion policy. If you wonder why Blacks are still only have 1/10 of the wealth of white families, look at what happened after integration. Our communities were destroyed because people were like, well, wasn't integration a good thing? The real thing that we were fighting for was equal access to the resources that our tax dollars created. Equal access. I can still have my neighborhoods. I can still have my schools. I can still have all of that. Just give me what I'm supposed to have. Separate but equal would have been a great thing if it would have actually been equal. When I say to my audience and I say to y'all that it is easy, if I gave you the answer, it wouldn't stick. If I make you go through actually challenging what you actually believe, your core beliefs, you are going to find, oh snap, this is what this is what this issue is all about. So on one hand, I love when the brother Bajan came up and talked about that plan about, hey, we got to stop abortions because if we don't stop these people from killing their babies, we're going to be a minority. Whoa! So it's okay for one group of people to feel that strongly and want their legacy and want their families and want their community to continue to live. But I'm wrong. Somebody that's fought for Black people. Brother Bajan said about going back to the community, going back to the community and doing work. I was a public defender living in the same neighborhood that I serviced. A juvenile public defender working in the same neighborhood that I serviced. Let's give an example. 80% of my clients were Black children. 60% of my clients were Black boys. I worked with these boys on a daily basis. I was the only black male juvenile public defender in Caddo Parish. I care about my people. I have been caring for my people. When my sister Brika got up and talked about stopping wars and things and things of that nature and marching for the kids and meeting with the community, who do you think was there with her? This is something that has been near and dear to my heart. I just think that it's foolish. It's foolish that we as black folks we say that it's a woman's right to choose. It's a woman's right to choose, but the fathers or the men who you want to step up, you want the men in the community to step up for the kids, but he ain't got no say when the kids is in the womb, but you want them to have say when they're outside of the womb. Don't put no responsibility on. If I'm supposed to have all this responsibility, if it's your body, your choice, it needs to be your body, your choice, your child. I have nothing to do with it. From the womb to the tomb. You bear the children, cool, no problem. You bear the children, you keep them. Don't ask me for nothing. If I can't say nothing about this little MF being in your womb, don't talk to me about this little MF when he's out the womb. That's real. That's real. Don't tell me about what my responsibility is if I don't have no say. If I don't have no say. No, it's not different. It ain't different, Brika. It ain't different. It ain't different. The baby got there. The baby got there because folks was effing around doing stuff that they ain't had no business. Point blank. Period. And they weren't in a place where they were responsible to do it. If you buy a car, you're responsible for the insurance. You're responsible for the maintenance and all of that. And if you break it, that's on you. This is the things that come with it as a result. You bought the car because you wanted to ride nice. Well, there's things that happen that need to happen if you want to ride nice. You wanted to have sex and enjoy yourself and all that, but a baby might happen. Women's rights. I am women. My rights. My life. Mine. Briggy, we just ain't gonna agree. And that's okay. That's okay. But I'm gonna spend some time with my family before I head out, y'all. I really appreciate y'all for coming out. Tammy said my son's girlfriend had an abortion without telling him, and he would have totally kept the baby. Cold game. Once again, cold game. If you guys do not have a relationship with Jesus Christ, I encourage for you to go and have a relationship with him, to seek him. When you seek him, things change in your life. When you seek him, the desires of your heart are met. When you seek him, there's peace and there's clarity that you get. When you seek him, there's no battle too big, no journey too far, no problem too big that you cannot solve. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. I want all of y'all to have everlasting life. Everybody that I'm supposed to be hitting up, please forgive me. Like I said, this has been a busy couple weeks for me, doing family stuff and handling things. But I love y'all. Jesus loves y'all too. And I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.